All right, day after election day. All the results seem pretty good. Wanted to see or hear all the results, but East Coast was good. My home state, I'm still learning to hear the results. It takes a while for them to count them all. But promising. Is this weird Trump era beginning the transition phase out? It's kind of the first step. Is a strong repudiation of him and his the ones that he supported, the MAGA candidates, the MAGA reps. They're the ones that were, big on the big beautiful bill and stuff, and they got a lot of talk. They say a lot of stuff. Those Republican reps, like Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, he talks a lot. Doesn't really do much. Like right now, like he does interviews, press conferences, but that's not really his job. His job is to be Speaker of the House, and that needs to be like when they're in session. But he told his members to go home, and many of them willingly obliged. Didn't protest at all. Didn't just vote him out as Speaker or something. It's just weird what we've come to accept. This stupid thing of bipartisanship, one or the other. That's it. So it's got the pendulum has to swing back and forth. That's all your options are. Yes, you get to the ballot and you'll notice there's more options on the big national elections, presidential election. There's many options besides just Republican, Democrat. But yeah, Republican Party though, yeah, they get away with just the Democrats are bad. It's all the Democrats' fault. And still to this day, that's their message. It's the Democrats' fault that we're not working. Why we're refusing to go to work. While the Democrats are at work, I don't really get how their insane logic works on people. Mike Johnson and his Republican colleagues are refusing to go to work, i.e., have the government open and be in session and legislate, work through things in committees and such, and then bring bills to the floor and vote yay or nay day in, day out. It's kind of mundane, it's kind of boring, it's not for everybody. It's like they're still collecting a paycheck, so they need to go to work. Like if they're just not going to work or refuse to work, they're going on strike or something. Like they're not a union, but they think they are or something. It's like you're representatives, U.S. representatives, so you have to represent. You can't do that if you're not in session. So you're not doing your job. It's not the minority organization's fault that you're not at work. Just go to work. You have a disagreement, well, then you're going to have to work it out. You're trying to stay loyal to Donald John Trump. Well, maybe that's probably your problem. It's, at some point you're gonna face some reckoning for that. I think maybe some of them know that. I think some of them are still naive to that. That's coming at some point, whether it's more like historical, like after they're gone, history judged them very poorly. These are the folks that enabled Trump, and not just enabled him, but fully gave him a full green light to do whatever he wanted. He wanted ICE to have a bigger budget, and they just gave ICE more money with no oversight. So ICE used the money to hire a militia. Like, I thought the issue was about undocumented peoples. Documents? Documents. Not the committing of violent crimes, armed and dangerous threat. No. Documents. So kind of like the IRS. Does the IRS have a militia? No. Your tax bill was what? No, there's not a militia coming. You didn't file your taxes. So why is a militia coming? Because you don't have a document. It's a document issue. We need to get. ICE should have hired people that are good at processing documents. For the record, for me personally, I can give two fucks what human being living here peacefully and working and doing whatever, abiding by the laws of our land. I could give two fucks whether they have a document or not, saying they're a citizen or have a visa or whatever. If they're abiding by a bureaucratic process, great. But an undocumented person is an undocumented person. So it's a human being living here that doesn't have a document saying they're a citizen or have some sort of other legal status, like, visa or work permit or something like that. They're an undocumented human. Again, why am I supposed to give a fuck as in be scared of them? That part I don't understand. If you're really worried about them not having a document, then let's get the documents filled out more efficiently. So fire all those stupid militia guys and then hire more IRS types. Smart people that can process documents. It seems like the meatheads that they hired at ICE aren't too bright. I don't think law enforcement was too interested in many of them. They don't seem to understand basic Miranda rights. And those specific individuals, at some point are going to need to face criminal charges for the activities that they've engaged in that have been caught on camera. Assault, vehicular assault, kidnapping, extortion, just to name a few. These are crimes, obviously. You can't just beat someone up. But the person they beat up may have not had a document filled out correctly. No, sorry, that's not an excuse that doesn't make it legal. Stephen Miller said that we have immunity and we're allowed to beat up whoever we want. Yeah, so if that's their defense, then that's their defense. Nonetheless, those specific individuals who are engaged in criminal activity, rampant criminal activity that's being caught on camera and broadcast to the world, i.e., these masked individuals refusing to identify themselves that not just terrorize with verbal threats, but assault and kidnap, in some cases, American citizens, but whether they're American citizens or not. Just because a person is undocumented doesn't give you any legal discretion to assault and kidnap them. You have an issue with their document, take it up with local authorities, call them in for a summons of some kind, and have some sort of judicial review where a judge will make a determination. These ICE agents thought that because they're federal employees, they have legal immunity to terrorize American communities. They believe that because they're organized enough and well-funded enough, they have legal discretion to terrorize the people of the United States of America. They are mistaken. They will face criminal charges. No, it's not just going to be that they lose their job. Whatever defense they can offer is going to be, they're entitled to their defense. You're innocent until proven guilty of a crime. What specific crime, what level of charge for the actions of assault, assault with a car. There was one where they rammed their car into a woman's car trying to get to work, and then they dragged her out of her car and beat her up, and it's caught on camera. So those individuals that did that they engaged in a crime. The individuals that terrorized an apartment complex in Chicago one night, woke a bunch of people up, and zip tied people and stuff. Again, without any due process. No, 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 no. Just decided that these people were worthy of their terrorizing. That's a crime. But they work for a department of the federal government. And Stephen Miller said they're allowed to do whatever they want. So, whatever defense they have, they're entitled to a defense. So I hope they come up with a good one. Why did you assault and kidnap children? Why did you extort peoples? I.e., if you don't sign this document, I'm going to kidnap your child. That some of that stuff's been caught on camera. Again, rampant criminal activity being engaged in by these ICE agents. Undiscriminate criminal activity. It's confusing to us because they're wearing sort of kind of law enforcement paraphernalia, but they also look very casual too. So who are these people? We don't really know. Who is it that ICE hired to just sort of roam around and beat people up and terrorize folks? Yeah, ICE again are well organized, well funded, and their objective is to terrorize people. And they're doing it. And they believe that they have legal discretion to do that as much as they want and not face any legal consequences. They are mistaken. Like, the ship is going to right itself. Like, I hope more folks get on the right side of history, and I hope the tide shifts here. But it's gonna be a long grind. The Republican National Committee went all in on Trump and Trumpism, which is a government completely and totally for that specific individual. Like, I don't. And that specific individual is a famous confidence man. He inherited a shit ton of money. A shit ton. This specific amount doesn't really matter. It's in the hundreds of millions. If you inherit several $100 million, consult your wealth advisor. They'll walk you through the process. Basic advice to you as a former financial advisor is to invest a good $100 million into a fixed annuity earning about 3%. That's a very nominal, basic rate of return. Annuitize the investment so you have a $200,000 living allowance that'll run in perpetuity. That's forever. Donald Trump had this as a birthright. In and of itself isn't necessarily a character flaw, but it's important to understand that that's the advantage he was born into. A trust fund that could pay him a monthly living allowance, not taxed as income, in addition to hundreds of other millions of dollars that he could access at any time because his father gave it to him as a birthright. He used the money to buy fancy things and to prop an image up of a successful businessman. He was actually a very fraudulent, corrupt, and poor businessman. It was the worst kept secret throughout my childhood. How did that guy write a book? I said out loud as a 12-year-old when Donald Trump published Art of the Deal. He was very dumb, very small-minded, racist, sexist, stupid, and an arrogant fucking prick. He seemed to get a certain joy out of fucking over the working class person. After another bankruptcy, he disappeared for a few years, and then just as I graduated college, he became the host of a business-themed game show. That's what The Apprentice was. The title of the show, The Apprentice, being a wink and a nod to who Donald Trump is. A very famous devil's apprentice. Yeah. Yeah, but his strongest supporters, and many still to this day, evangelical Christians. I don't really quite know what that phrase, term means. I think it means you go to church and you feel real good about yourself. And then, like, no matter how you're thinking or living your life. I don't know. Like, yeah, Trump's the other guy. He's an antithesis. No dad, no shit, though. You don't need to be a biblical scholar to know that fact about the man. Nice try changing it the Democrats, though. I don't really know what that has to do with anything. But, yeah. That's what my old buddy from Moody Bible Institute, I didn't go there, but my buddy Brian from back in the day, he went to Moody. That would be his response. Or some small-minded thing about woke is dumb. Democrats, stupid. Kamala Harris, garbage candidate. It's a weird world, man. You know, the current president of the United States is a very famous confidence man that I became aware of as a boy. Knew innately, just without adults having to specifically spell it out for me, that guy was bad. Bad in a different kind of obviously bad way than, like, you know, Charles Manson or Ted Bundy or some shit. They were pretty fucking, like, yeah, shockingly evil, you know. He was a different kind, more subtle, I suppose, but still kind of obvious. Like, I don't really know and understand how his mountain of shit that Donald Trump has created over his many decades, he just gets, I don't know, ignored by his most loyal supporters, the type of people he likes to fuck over the most in order to have his wealthiest donors get whatever they wanted. You know, he gets a kickback from whatever deal was cut. He had the east wing of the White House torn down so they could build a gold ballroom. Like, how the fuck does he get away with it? Like, the curtain was revealed decades ago that he's a confidence man. Banks are going to not lend his companies money anymore because they're so poorly and corruptly run. This is in the late 1990s. He becomes the fucking host of a fucking show. And then at the height of the show's fame, he starts saying really dumb racist shit. Yeah, you remember that? Did we forget about that part too? Again, it's a mountain of shit. Is his biography, Donald Trump's. It just keeps piling up. You know? Oh, that's what the fortunate thing is. We need to defend Trump's shit mountain. You defend it the only way you know how. Grab a handful of shit and throw it at people that are critical of Trump. It's very unfortunate. You know, it sucks. That's the either or now. You either know that Donald John Trump is a famous confidence man, or you're just devoutly loyal to the man and think he's like Lord and Savior. It's like, ugh, what the fuck? Or it's like you're so loyal to the idea of America that you don't believe a person so obviously bad could be president. Like there would be some sort of mechanism that would correct it or something. Like he can't be that bad because he is the president. It's like, no, because we've had some treacherous folk in the past before, but he's a whole different beast. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and when you just surrender power and just give it away to a person that wants absolute power, well, that person snatches it, yeah, and uses it for their own vindictive purposes, and which is, I don't really understand what so many were missing over the last several decades with the Trump story. You know, like I don't get it. If he just stayed a sort of D-list celebrity, cameos and TV shows and movies, hawking various things. I think he used to be a spokesperson for Burger King. You know, if he's just that kind of goofy celebrity, like who gives a fuck? But then now it's very frustrating. A lot of bravado out there amongst my male counterparts out there, you know, like male just dudes that like what are you not getting, dude? That you think Trump is tough? No, he's a weak little bitch. He inherited a lot of money, and that gave him certain privilege and an ability for things to just kind of go his way pretty easy. So he has a temper tantrum. Everything is slightly difficult. He's never had to work a day in his life. Like, what are you missing? You know, dudes that are like, oh, about working and Logan Party, like, you know, snap people need to work. Who the fuck are they to tell people they need to go to work? Why don't they go to work? Trump could go to work. He's never worked. He's born into a class that doesn't have to. His kids certainly don't work. They don't need to work. They've never worked a day in their life. They can give a perception of working. They have the ability to do that. They have the ability to kind of have things going that make people think that they're really working. But that's all other people that run the shit for them. They're not very capable. I don't. I wish more Americans had more confidence in themselves. It's just kind of like the ones that had the big flag on their truck and stuff, like Trump. It's like, oh man, so what happened? What happened, bud? Why do you have no confidence in yourself? That you're masquerading with bravado. You're better than Trump, I assure you. Person driving the truck with the big MAGA flag. I assure you, you're more capable than that man. And don't you're gonna argue with that. Say no, Trump is the best. And say no, no, no. You're better. You're more capable. Can you show up to work and do a job? If you're a skilled laborer, I assure you, you have more skills than Trump. Have some confidence in yourself, MAGA. You don't have to stoop yourself so low. Stand tall. Trump isn't able to do that. You've been stooping. You've been kind of like shrinking yourself down to like try to look up to him, but he's down below. He's one of our worst. I don't get what you missed. So I don't know. I just wish more people had more confidence in themselves and like confidence in like strength in numbers. The United States, like life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and justice for all. All, not just wealthy white folk. So, long windy rant, kind of over the place, but such is with the Trump era. So many threads. The blue wave, I hope, is coming. I hope the Republican Party shifts here and restructures. Yeah. Onward and upward. Peace one quickly. Amen.